Hello everyone and welcome back to Ponderosa North for the love of Bonanza. Today I'm going to focus on my favorite Joseph scenes, Little Joe scenes. There's so many, but I've broken it down to maybe five or six of my favorite ones. And I'm going to start with the Magnificent Ada Mankin. She's an actress and the boys, they go and see her. It's quite a funny scene. It's quite funny, and Ben knows her, of course. There she is, bites her home. Look at the silverware and the talk about opulence. My goodness. And the boys are all dressed up, but they're upset because their dad is dating an actress. I guess that's a bad thing back then. But anyway, the scene that I'm talking about is the scene where Ada Mankin's bodyguard, I guess, beats up Little Joe very severely, and Little Joe is, left almost blinded. And this scene that he does on the sofa in the hotel in town got applause apparently after it was over. It was sort of his coming of age, really. It's just really a poignant scene, and everybody is sort of, look at the faces. They're not they're very concerned. Look at Haas and look at Ben. I mean, they're all really involved in this scene, but it's Michael Landon who shines, and it's in the Magnificent Ada Mankin, very early in the first season. A very good scene by Michael Landon, and sort of his wouldn't say coming of age, but it just, everybody was kind of really could see his future, and what a wonderful actor he would become, but from that scene, because he really hadn't been challenged really before that. This is where he sort of shone. So the next one I'm gonna talk about is the Flapjack eating contest, and it's the scene in Little Joe's bedroom where Ben sends Haas up to wake up Little Joe, and so Haas kind of nudges him and, come on, get up, it's the afternoon. Sees the water, pours the water, and ends up throwing it at him, and ends up telling the story of him being mugged. And Haas has very little, what I think I like about this is that Haas has very little empathy or sympathy for his brother, even though he has just explained that he was laying in the street for hours unconscious, had this lump on his head, and of course when he gets the water thrown on him, Little Joe picks up his boot, throws it at Haas, and of course goes flying through the window. And the rest of the episode is Little Joe trying to replace this glass in this window. It's a great episode. That's the Flapjack eating contest. The next one is Calamity on the Comstock, I think it's called. And my favorite scene is at the end when Doc Holliday is going to have a gunfight with Little Joe. But he's threatened by Jane, Doc Holliday is, and says, don't you touch him, don't you touch Little Joe, or I'm going to shoot you. And so they go to draw, and Doc Holliday, he was known for having tuberculosis. And so he started coughing, and Joe kind of got out of it. And then Joe is very relieved, starts getting into the punch, dancing around, and just making an absolute fool of himself. Haas says that he's determined to get himself shot. It's a very funny scene. It's a great episode too. The whole episode's fantastic, but that's my favorite scene, the ball scene with Doc Holliday at the very end. The next scene I really like is in Birdman of the Ponderosa, and Haas loves his contraptions and his inventions and so on. And he's going to tell Little Joe that he's going to fly. And Little Joe promises not to laugh, but he does, and really starts giving it to Hoss, flying amongst the courtyard and just really giving it to him. It's a very funny scene. Of course, Hoss catches up to him and basically lifts him up like a rag doll, carries him over to the trough and throws him in. And it's just a great scene in Ponderosa Birdman. I think it's called Ponderosa Birdman. Now to some more serious scenes. I talk about this episode a lot, I've figured out, and that is the quality of mercy. Michael Landon is just so good in this episode. And it is the scene where he's having a talk with his father, and his father is telling him about, he's seen men in really terrible pain. He's seen men fall from the crow's nest of a ship, and but look at Mike. He's just so engrossed by this pain he's feeling, and this look at, it's just so good. And then he's left alone to sort of think about what his father has told him. It's a really wonderful scene. I've talked about it before many times, I think. I just think it's quite a long scene too. There's not a whole lot of editing in it. It's quite long too. So yeah, great scene between him and Lorne. And the last scene I'm going to talk about is in Forever, when he returns to his home that has been burnt down, and his wife has been killed, and his child has been killed. Unborn child has been killed. And he goes, and his dad comes to sort of comfort him. He's burnt his hands trying to get in and save his family. But look at it, just this face. It's just full of sorrow and pain. And that sorrow and pain was easy to get because they were mourning Dan Blocker at that point. So when you see that scene in Forever, which is, even talking about it makes me choke up. It's all about Dan. Talk about actors having to go there. Well, they didn't have to go far because Dan's death was very fresh and very, very hard on all of them. We all miss Dan Blocker. I mean, what he could have done, what he would have been, we could hazard to guess. So those are some of my favorite Little Joe scenes. We'll be back next time with Adam scenes and Hoss scenes and Ben scenes too. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you soon on Ponderosa North for the love of Bonanza. Bye for now.